Bad news today. The Albanese government's most dangerous minister says he's going to keep doing the same, but worse. Chris Bowen, the Energy and Climate Change Minister, has given an interview that's the lead story in today's Australian. Bowen's vow to shut out green noise, which actually means shutting his ears to opinions he doesn't like. And that's killing us, really, because Bowen has already closed his ears to evidence that there is no climate emergency we should be fixing. He's closed his ears to the fact that nothing Australia does will make the slightest measurable difference to the climate anyway, we're so small. And he's closed his ears to evidence that he's pouring billions of dollars of your money into dud green schemes. I mean, you just take his latest crusade, the one he was bragging out just yesterday, again today, by the way, cheap batteries to back up your solar system.
In the first 2 months, as of today, 43,695 Australian households have installed a cheaper home battery, Mr Speaker, and they know and we know that saves them, if they didn't have solar panels already, more than $2,000 a year. That puts downward pressure on prices for every single Australian.
I think that's a bit dishonest, because those batteries are a waste that's costing every Australian, because we have to pay for the $2.3 billion that Bowen is giving away to make those batteries cheaper. We are paying for the handouts that the Prime Minister boasts about.
The government will pay 30% of the costs of anyone who puts a battery to store energy from their solar panels.
No, the government's not paying it, we are. And the sick joke here is that even the Australian Energy Market Commission quietly admits that the catch is that it will take almost all the useful working life of these batteries to repay the cost. And that's if it's used in ideal conditions. Now, it says the average payback period for a battery without any government subsidies is 14.5 years. But it says this can be reduced to 7.3 under the federal rebate, except, of course, add that rebate, which we pay for, and we still actually do need 14.5 years to pay it all back. Yet, a home battery typically lasts only a few months longer, at best a couple of years. Although ones in a hot climate last around 3 years less. You won't quite pay them back with the savings. So this whole thing is sounding a bit like another green con. And forget Bowen and the Prime Minister, they're babbling about how this green future, made in Australia, batteries made in Australia, more jobs, green jobs. Look, Bowen actually used to visit and promote the Energy Renaissance battery company up in the Hunter Valley, which had got, you won't believe this, $750,000 in investment funds from coalition governments to make its batteries. And Bowen's colleague Ed Husick, then the industry minister, was still spruiking Energy Renaissance's batteries just last April.
We have some of the world's largest storage of critical minerals, but we don't make enough of our own batteries. Unless, of course, your Energy Renaissance here in the Hunter.
But as is so often the green way, Renaissance batteries collapsed a couple of weeks ago. The receivers called in, most staff sacked. Another battery storage developer, Redflow Energy, failed last year too. Yet both Bowen and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese were still flogging their flat battery scheme in Parliament today.
Moving on climate change is not just a challenge, but it's an opportunity. And that's why the Cheaper Home Batteries program has installed over 44,895, to be precise, batteries in homes. We're backing renewable energy because it makes sense for our economy. The largest economic transformation since the Industrial Revolution, and we have everything we need to make the most of it right here in Australia.
And we paid, you and I, for every one of those 40,000 batteries, and it's not going to transform anything. Companies collapsing. But what green scheme isn't in trouble under this government? I mean, just about every green hydrogen scheme this government has touted and backed or even funded, claiming they were essential to going green.
Our green hydrogen future is fundamental to that clean energy future as a powerhouse.
Now, As in fact you've learned from this show over the years, one green hydrogen scheme after another has been scrapped because green hydrogen, which is made from pumping absolutely massive amounts of wind and solar panel through water, is simply too expensive. And if you go to the CSIRO's high resource web page, now that tracks the status of the country's hydrogen schemes, you will find no fewer than 68 projects which have been, it says, archived, which is a lovely way to describe essentially being cancelled or abandoned. Now, one last example to show you just how disastrous Bowen's move to green power is. I mean, it's already running 7 years behind, by the way, costing billions more than expected. Although, you know, mentioning that, there's just more noise to him. This last example is Bowen's plan to have massive wind farms just offshore. As I told you the other day, what a flop. The $10 billion big wind farm planned off Newcastle collapsed last month. Uneconomic. The big wind farm off the Hunter Valley also killed off last month, again because of the cost. The wind farm planned off Gippsland, Victoria, also gone, and last December a $2 billion wind farm in South Australia also scrapped. On it goes. I cannot understand why this record of almost unblemished failure is not a national scandal. But one day people will wake up and it really will be, you know, tears before bedtime. And the only question is, how much then will it have cost you?